Hello, this is Teresa. I'm glad you joined me today for 3 tips that should help you with your crafting. The first one is about vellum and finding an adhesive that doesn't show through when you attach it straight down to a piece of pattern paper, or for that matter, just about anything. What I've done is cut a couple of pieces from leftover scraps that I didn't use on a card, and I'm going to use my Xyron machine to adhere them to this piece of scrap paper, and we'll see how that looks. I used samples that were pretty much the same opaqueness so that we could get a true comparison side by side. So here's the first one. It's the more opaque one, and the second is a little less or more see-through, so to speak. So when you look at it up close, magically you don't see that adhesive showing through at all. This next tip is one of my favorite ones to use. I create easy foam stamps by using dies that I already have in my stash. Today I'm using some circle dies from my favorite Things Dynamics. And what I did with this is die cut the same shape twice on thin craft foam, glued those pieces together with liquid glue, then used a glue gun with low temperature glue to attach it to this thick plastic packaging here. I also wanted a handle to make it easier to stamp with, so I just took a thumbtack and used a tool, this snipper here, to cut off the metal piece at the end before gluing it with the hot glue gun as well. And I'll show you how this works in just a second. So I'm going to show you examples of stamping this, and I'd like to emphasize that this is a cool way that you can extend the use of your dies. For instance, I have a previous blog post that I'll link to where I use this method to create a shadow under a word that I'd stamped onto a card. So this is a truly, truly useful technique. And last but certainly not least, here is my favorite method for when I want to create dimensional die cuts, especially large die cut words. What I do with this is I buy craft foam that already has an adhesive backing on it. It's similar to Stick It in a way, but it's certainly less expensive than buying that material, even though I have to say I love it quite a bit. So to make this more useful, I use spray adhesive, and I add on a piece of white cardstock so that I can color the cardstock every time I want to create a specific sentiment, and I just keep using that until I've used this entire sheet up. So today I will go through that extra step and show you what I do when I'm actually creating a real sentiment. Now, to create my sentiment, I pulled out a die cut set from My Favorite Things again. I'm going to ink it up with some distress ink. I'm not going to be very careful about technique or coloring because this is just a technique video. Just want to show you the end result of how this works. So once I do have it inked up, I want to just make sure that I've colored enough of the paper to fit the die cut on. And once I've determined that, I can cut out the exact size of the piece I want it to be and move to the Sizzix die cut machine, run this through, and then once it has come out, I'll separate the word. As you'll see here, I struggled a bit at first when I was pulling it out. First, I started to pull it towards me, and then I realized that the adhesive was starting to come off the back of it as I did it that way, so I changed my mind mid-course and started going back in the other direction to push the word out behind rather than in the front. And also, I didn't get a very clean cut with this, so I'd recommend, if this happens to you, to add another shim and adjust for your machine so that it comes out cleaner than mine did in this example. Once again, I want to thank you for stopping by today. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos.